Good morning, grade 7s. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Today we're going to begin 9.3 subtracting integers using integer chips. This is a very short lesson, and then I'll give you some practice questions to do. Okay, so subtraction does not really exist. In essence, what we do when we subtract is we add the opposite. So if we have an example here, 5 minus 3. Essentially what we are saying, 5 minus 3, well, we know that equals 2. 5 minus 3 is basically saying 5 plus negative 3, because we're adding the opposite. And that's also going to give us 2. Okay, now an example using integer chips. When using integer chips, excuse me, the subtraction sign becomes addition, and the chips after the subtraction sign flip to the opposite sign. So if we're going to start with positive 4. We're going to start with positive 4. And we'll write this out as well. So we have, 4. Our sign is going to flip. And then we will get 4 plus negative 3. Okay, so we have our positive 4, and we're going to add negative 3. So this should be very similar to last week's adding lesson. What does that create for us? These now are called 0 pairs. Those are 0 pairs. Those cancel each other out. And what are we left with? Positive 1. All right. Moving on to a few more examples here. So here we have positive 3 minus negative 1. So again, 3, we're going to add the opposite. Opposite of negative 1 is positive 1. Now, we're starting with positive 3, and we're adding 1. And that gives us 4. Same idea. Starting negative 4, we're going to add the opposite. Now showing that with our integer chips, negative 4, and we're going to add 2. That creates 0 pairs. Those are now gone, and we are left with negative 2. Okay, -2. We're going to add the opposite. Using our integer chips, we're going to start out with -2. Excuse me. And then we're going to add 4 more negatives. And that leaves us with -6. Okay, this last one here. 5. Add the opposite. And then we can show that with our chips. +5, 2, 3. And then we're going to add 6. And that's going to equal 11. I'm just going to do a shortcut here. Nice. All right. Next slide here, this is a show you know. I want you to give these a shot on your own. So pause the video here, and then you can press play when you are done. Okay, so again, starting off, we have 4 minus -2. So we're going to start with our 4. We are going to add the opposite. I'm just going to fill in all of these with 4. We have -1. We're going to add the opposite. -6, add the opposite. 3, add the opposite. And now we can show that using our integer chips. Start with 4. And we're going to add 2. And we get 6. Over here, we start with -3, or sorry, -6. -6. And we're going to add 3. those 0 pairs cancel each other out, and we are left with -3. Okay, now we have -1, and we are adding -5. And that leaves us with -6. And then the last one we have here is +3 plus 4. And that's going to leave us with a little shortcut here. +7. And I'll just fill these in. So we are left with 6, -3, -6, and 7. All right, so that's it for our notes today. Quite simple as long as we recall how to do our integer addition and our 0 pairs, along with whenever we are subtracting, it is essentially like we are adding the opposite. So that's something to remember. In your textbook, there is a different way to show subtraction, and it does something with 0 pairs. I don't particularly like it. I find it way more confusing than if you just add the opposite. So I'm just going to show you this way. If you would like to check out your textbook and try that way, if you don't like this way for some reason, that is fine. But I am 100% okay with you using this way to show your integer subtraction using integer chips. Until next time.